morning one and all. I welcome you all to the session named as How Collaboration Can Improve Teaching and Learning, which will be presented by Rachel, Neil, Hamish, Gemma, Carolyn, Chris, last but not the least, Mike from the Spark School. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, good morning everybody. My name's Rachel Edgar. I'm lead coordinator for Spark. I'm also a teacher at Dubai English Speaking College. And this morning, welcome first of all to the Spark workshop. And I'm going to introduce to you a little bit about the concept of Spark and also hopefully demonstrate a little bit later on that concept too. Spark is 18 months old now. It stands for Sharing Pedagogy and Refining Knowledge. And it's a concept that we borrowed from the Teach Meet phenomenon that first originated in the UK. When I first moved to Dubai, which was about 2 years ago now, I was a little disappointed, a little surprised at the lack of collaboration I felt between my school that I was at then and other schools within Dubai. I think things have moved on and they're gradually moving on and they move on quickly here in Dubai, but I felt at that time that something more could be done. And it prompted me to create, I'd been doing some reading about Teach Meets and also along with Sophia Hargreaves on joint practice development, Dylan William and teacher learning communities, prompted me to create the account Dubai Teach Meet to see if there was any others out there who would have an interest. Unfortunately there were, and there were two guys called Mark Wood and not Ian Plant, he's the latest, but Mark Wood and Lee Garrett, who'd already come up with this concept of Spark. A Teach Meet, if you don't know, is an informal CPD meeting in which you just get a load of teachers in a room together to share ideas about what works in their classroom day in, day out. The presentations are short. They're 2 or 7 minutes, 5-minute presentations. And the beauty of that is that if the presentation isn't relevant to you, then it's over quite quickly. The best thing about it for me is, apart from the fact that it's free, so it's free to attend, nobody gets paid to present, but what hopefully you get from it is a bit of inspiration and a bit of motivation. And what I've got personally from it, in terms of leading Teach Meets out here, is that getting 100 plus educators together on a Saturday morning, making a commitment to their teaching practice is all the inspiration and motivation that I need. And what Khalid was talking about earlier this morning about the very best teachers being the ones who just give it everything that they've got. So far we've had 8 major events. 5 of those have taken place in Dubai schools. So we've had a couple at Dubai College, one at SRS, one at JES, and also another event at the World Trade Center. At the Global Education Forum this year. We've also had an event in Sharjah, Doha and Bahrain. We had our very first, most of these Teach Meets, in fact all of those, have been events that have been quite general, okay, open to all subjects. We had our first subject-specific one on Saturday just gone at Dubai College, which was an MFL Teach Meet, which I had the pleasure to be at. And that's really, I think, one of the ways in which we're going to go forward from this. As you can see, Spark and our model, and for me, Teach Meets have been really part of a wider phenomenon and revolution that's happened in CPD over the last couple of years, really putting teachers at the heart of their own professional development. So people attending Teach Meets, there's an increase in teachers writing blogs and reflecting on their practice in that way, teachers connecting globally through social media platforms like Twitter, also teachers carrying out their own action-based research, something we've been trying to do in our school in order to try and measure the impact of the things that we're doing day in, day out with our students. Forthcoming events, we have a general event in January in Sharjah, and we also are appearing at all of the What Works this year. You will get the opportunity to talk to us at the end of this session, and what I'm about to do, this was an explanation of the concept, but we're going to have a little bit of a mini Teach Meet happening right here, right now. But if you're interested, or you think your school might be interested in hosting a Teach Meet, then please do see me when we've finished, and you've got my email address there. There's 2 rules to Teach Meets, and why I'm clutching this stopwatch. Firstly, that the presentation timings are quite strict. Okay, so when this presentation or the presenters have 30 seconds to go, they will hear this. Okay. Might recognise the music if you're a Spielberg fan. Okay. And basically, as we all know, teachers like the sound of their own voice, so it gets them to get a bit of a move on and get them off quickly. The other tradition for Teach Meets is Twitter. And we are going to be tweeting out today and sharing some of the things, the strategies that we're looking at today. So if you are a tweeter, use the hashtag #SparkEvent and get tweeting. Okay, I'm going to hand over then. We're going to do a mini Teach Meet right now. Our first presenter is Neil. Okay. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, by the way, if you've got a device handy, anything, a phone, a tablet, or anything like that, please feel free to get it out if you want to get involved in the presentation. I put some laptops around you, but please do. Please have your phone out. We'll have a go at that. Okay, right. Whilst I'm talking, whilst I'm just introducing what I'm doing, if any of you here have got a device, if you could go to zondel.com/play, and you're going to get interactive. Now, what will happen is you'll get a screen that logs up, and anyone with any device, so pretend this is you in the classroom with your students, can log into this and have a go at an interactive quiz. Now, what's really good about this is, first of all, Zondel has their own bank of resources that you can use from different subjects, and it's also got the ability for students to create their own quizzes for you to save you time, and also you can create your own from scratch. Now, I've just done a very random one today about Dubai, just to show you how the technology works. And I use this for starters, for plenaries, and also for AFL, for gauging whether students have understood concepts within the classroom. Okay, we've already got 2 players, 3 players have joined, so that's good. We can see the names of those students coming in. I'm going to click it when we get to about 10, so we'll have 10 different people in there. What's good about this, and when you see it, it's a very visual tool. You can see exactly where the students are in their understanding and challenge them on that. And also at the end, you see who's done the best, and you go through that, okay? Right, we've got 5 players, so I'm just going to move on with that, okay? Oh, excuse me, I do apologise. So we've got 6 players in the room, 7. Anyone else? That's right. I'll go at this. So, okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to display a question on the screen. It'll pop up on your screen and you've got to choose the correct answer. We've only got a certain amount of time, so you've got about 20 seconds. Now, usually there's sound. We don't have sound on today's presentation, but there's usually a ticking timer. So they have to choose whether they think the Burj Al Arab is the tallest offshore structure in the world, yes or no, true or false. True, false, some people don't know. See, in the classroom, I'm already finding out, people shouting out answers. Some people think it's true, some people think it's false. What do we think? Some people think it's true, some think it's false. It's very sure, aren't we? We're very sure. So, there's debate happening in the classroom as we speak. Okay, let's see what we went for. So if we click continue, we'll see instantly the percentage is very split. So say this is a technical question from your teaching, something about a mathematical equation that you flashed up. You can instantly see who has understood and who has not understood that concept and challenge them on it. Yeah? So we can actually, obviously, the answer is, of course, true. It's actually true. It's the tallest offshore structure. That's what DubaiFacts.com tells me. Anyway, right, this next question is a multiple choice. So what percentage of cranes, the world's cranes, are currently located in Dubai? Who knows? Who knows? The students get really competitive, a bit like yourselves. They'll really want to do well on this. Only 3 seconds left. Right, instantly, I know 70% of us say it's 35%. Right, only 25%. I understand now that my class needs a bit of support. I need to help you. Go back over that concept in the following lesson, okay? just flip through. How long have I got, miss?
You're doing all right.
I'm doing okay. Good, good. Right. What percentage of the Dubai population is expat? Ooh, interesting. What percentage? Very sure. See, I could challenge that. That's good. Very sure there. Oh, it's definitely 70%, she says. Yeah? Right, so we've got a split again. Instantly, I can challenge that, okay? So the actual percentage is, at present, 85%. Can you believe that? There we go. You see? All right, they're so sure, and you can challenge them with that, okay? Next one. Okay, how many tourists were estimated to visit Dubai in 2013? I didn't have the 2014 stats. How many? 7 million. 7? They think 7 million? Yeah? Lots of debate in the classroom. You'll have students talking to each other, collaborating, asking questions, okay? Straight away, 50% of us think it's 8, 40% think 11. It is, of course, 11 million. 11 million tourists. Amazing. Last two questions. How many people live in Dubai? Easy one. I'd hope.
1.5.
1.5? Okay. 1.5, quite confident. We said guys getting ready with the music now. Right, so a lot of us think 2.1 million. Obviously you've been reading the news. It is 2.1 million. 7 days. Right, last two questions. What year was the Dubai World Trade Center completed? When was it? It was the one that started it all off. It was the first big tower in Dubai. When was it? 85? Very sure again. Oh, I've got one more question after this. It was 1979. That long back. Right, last question. There were 13 cars in Dubai in 1968. Only 13. How many are there today? 2.4. Okay. We're pretty sure. Right, a lot of us think 2.4. It is, of course, 1.13. Now, just to tie this together at the end, I could see HeyWish. Yeah? Number one in the room. Take a bow. Round of applause for HeyWish. Yeah? 3 things happen there. I know exactly where you are as a class. I know that the person who won that, okay, is going to have some instant praise from the rest of the class, and I've generated debate within the classroom. It's a really good tool. Please give it a go sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, next up we've got HeyWish. One of the best things about Teach Meets for me has been what I've learned IT-wise in terms of the apps.
Hi. Oh gosh, sorry.
Zonzal. I learned about another one the other day, Kahoot, at the MFL Teach Me, but actually seeing those sort of things in action has been something that's really now become a bit more embedded in my practice.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we try to improve assessment in our school, how to make it more useful for students and for teachers, and how the two can help each other out to really improve their understanding of each other. I thought it was quite interesting listening to Khaled this morning, just talking about the most important thing is knowing our students, and that's what we've tried to do here. When we were inspected last year, we had a few criticisms of our assessment procedures. Firstly, our recommendations were they needed to develop a rigorous system of assessment that teachers use effectively to plan for students, again showing that they know their students better, and also to set more ambitious targets for all groups of students, again coming back to really knowing the students, and finally to provide an accurate data set to help our school self-evaluate. So I'm just going to go through some of these and the problems that we faced and how we try to address them. Our systems weren't that rigorous, but we're facing a few problems. For example, a lot of our teachers come to us relatively inexperienced in the British system. or just relatively inexperienced, full stop. And also, there's a lot of teachers are fairly transient. Again, I think that's similar to quite a few schools in the UAE, that they'll come for a couple of years, and then, or 3 or 4 years maybe, and then move on. Whereas in the UK, you might have teachers who stay with the same class and the same year group for much longer, and really know what a year 4 class looks like and feels like. That's not quite so much the case here. We were lacking resources. We had an underutilized management information system. We used Engage to do our reports and to take registers, but we didn't really use the analysis on it. And also we were short of staff who could really support assessment and support the wider process, and support teachers using it effectively as well. And to be fair, we also lacked a system pretty much. With all these things coming together, we kind of lacked a system that would help us. So we moved away from that towards a regular system of data collection. We went monthly, which is possibly slightly too often, but we wanted to do it regularly so that teachers would get in the habit of doing it. But then a kind of a pattern from the actual assessments to the analysis, and also to moderation of teachers' judgments. Again, there were still quite a lot of inexperienced teachers, so you needed that process of moderation to validate their judgments. And to help validate their judgments, we also invested quite heavily in using data from the Chem Centre at Durham University. We brought into PIPS, Midias and Yellis, and really used that to support our teachers' judgments, and also improved our understanding of how our MIS, which we just got a couple of years ago, could work better using the performance tracker. I don't know how many other schools around here use Engage, but it's kind of becoming a lot more effective. And also focusing during lesson observations on how a teacher has made clear they know the students from their use of assessment, how they plan the lessons effectively with the previous month, previous term's assessment data. We also had a problem setting ambitious targets. One of the things that a lot of our teachers said, well, 95+% of our school is EAL students. And so we shouldn't expect quite the same standards. And so when the inspectors came in, they said, yeah, you can expect the same things. So I spent a bit of time comparing our school to similar schools in the UK with about 100 students in year 6. I looked at the Key Stage 2 data because I was also in charge of Key Stage 2 last year. And with about 95% EAL students. And they did actually have a very similar level of attainment and progress. So we kind of used those benchmarks as a sort of validation for setting similar targets. And when we trialled out PIPS, which started with year 2, that's much faster than I thought it would be, it showed that the results were much more similar than we expected. To cut it a bit short, yeah, we used these PIPS, Midias and Yellis data to support our judgments of the students, and that's become quite successful, as well of course as using PISA through the national agenda. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name's Gemma Atkins, I'm from Jess. I'm Director of PE and Sport over at Jess, along with Michael. Michael's in my team. There's so many things you could talk about at a teacher meet, so many things that we do, and I wanted to choose 2 things that particularly for me work really, really well, and particularly for my students as well. So the first one is memory map. On here, I just wanted to give you, again, good questioning techniques, the who, what, where, when, why, how, and we call that 5 bums on a bed, so I've drawn 5 bums on a bed for you, which is a good questioning technique. So that just gives you an idea about what I'm going to be delivering today. So the first one actually is not this one at all. It is wallpaper, learning journey. Okay. Now, in my IB class, I've got learners that are probably a level 2, 3, right up to a 6, 7, which obviously there's a real high spec, or spectrum there. And what's really important is that you're able to recap learning, kind of make a story for them in terms of a scheme of work that you might be doing. So this at the moment demonstrates about 5 lessons that I've led so far this year. And basically we use it as starters, plenaries, we consolidate learning, we basically look at prior learning and how it links to future learning as well. So you can see here just very quickly, we started with a skeletal system. This is the kids' work, it's not my work necessarily. I might have annotated it or I might have highlighted specific things they must know, but very much this is their work, this is how they wanted to interpret it. So what we'll do as the scheme of work goes on, as you can see here, we've done things like long bones here, and they had to do like a bit of a matching pair game there, so they had to be able to label a long bone. So we've put here, that's what they've got to be able to do, and we've given, and again, just documenting how we've learnt that during our lessons. I think a couple of lessons ago, we did this dominoes game, so again, we did like a dominoes game to look at anatomical positions. So again, I've literally just taken photos of them, cut them out, stuck them on there, and gone, right, that's how we've learnt that topic area. So you're just making a story for them. And again, every lesson we have it out, so it could be that we're doing past paper questions, or it might be that we refer in a starter or a plenary, or during a lesson, or they might ask a question to reflect back on previous learning, and they can just look at this. They can come and stand up and look at it, so they've always got this as something that they can refer back to. Okay, so that's my learning journey. Thank you very much, Mike and Kaz. The second one, just pop that down now. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Feel free to come and have a look. I'll leave it down there for you as well. The second thing that works particularly well for me is something called a memory map. Now, again, as a generic kind of teaching and learning working tool, very often children have to be able to, memorize diagrams or graphs or charts or something like that in order to allow them then to access the content to then obviously answer questions. And it can be quite dry. If you've got a diagram that you've got to learn, or a concept or a graph or whatever else, it can be a little bit dry. So one thing that's really worked for me, and the kids actually really enjoy it, is something called memory map. And all we do is you get them into teams of between 3 and 5. Number ones, they're the scribe. They've got a piece of A3 paper, or even bigger than that, A2 paper. They're the scribe. Then they number themselves 2, 3, 4, right up to 5. Number 2s, and what I tend to do is put it outside my classroom. So whatever the diagram is, or the graph, or whatever it might be, I put a big one up outside the classroom. I've got a stopwatch, and I basically go, right, 30 seconds. Number 2s, you've got 30 seconds to run outside. Go and try and memorise as much as you possibly can of that diagram or that graph, whatever it is. They then come back in after those 30 seconds, and they've got to tell that person with the pen, they're not allowed to pick it up and steal it off them, they've got to try and describe to that person what they've seen. They get a minute to do that. After that minute's gone, I then shout, right, number 3s, off you go. They've got 30 seconds to go out to then come back in to add to that diagram. And what you do is you get collaboration, you get teamwork, you actually get them reflecting on how they're going to do it and how perhaps they're going to chunk that information to then remember it, because it could be that they've got maybe a circle and it's in quarters, and so there they can then basically go, right, I've just seen this on my diagram, right, I think what we need to do now when you go back out is I think you need to go memorise this aspect of the graph or this aspect of the diagram, and so therefore they're collaborating and they're trying to chunk the information to make it more memorable. And that's it.
Okay, good morning. Quickly, QR codes. How many of you have seen those little black square dots, so to call it? How many of you actually used them? You might have seen them. How many used them to scan in? Okay, some of us have, some of us haven't. Most of them found on back of Coke cans, in magazines, newspapers, taking you to some information. Exactly the same thing that I use in education, okay? You can create these little black squares, QRs, okay? And basically, they're a quick response. So once you've put your information into these codes, okay, you can scan it and they'll take you to elsewhere, take you to other parts of information. That's in advertisement, in any form of education, anything else that some extra information is required, okay? And in my classroom, I use it in a variety of different ways. For example, wall displays, okay? If you've got a nice wall display that's fairly complicated or needs further development or answers, put a QR code on the wall taking them to a website or a video explaining furthermore about the wall display, okay? Other ways we can use it, hold on, okay. I use them actually on wall displays for kids' work. So for example, if they've done a nice dramatic presentation about Romeo and Juliet, they've created a poster for it, and then the dramatic video is embedded into their poster, and kids come along and scan it and can watch each other's work. Also, nice way to communicate with parents, okay? Often I will give my tutor group a weekly update in their homework diaries of how their pupils been going on for the week, or how the class in general has been going on the week. A nice way of a weekly communication. Also very helpful for newspaper like articles and like daily bulletins and things like that that go home to parents, so you can give them a quick update. If this is going to work. Okay. So that QR code will link to my video. The sound's not on, okay? But that's me telling the parents how amazing the tutor group's done this week via their homework diaries. Okay? Really, really simple to create. If you simply, I won't show the video, if you go to qrstuff.com, okay, it is all on there. Go on there, embed whatever you want. You can embed photos, videos, websites, PDF documents, Word documents, great for doing homework, saving yourself megabytes on your Dropbox and things like that. Thank you.
Morning everyone, my name's Mike. I'm from Jess Ranch's, part of the PE department over there. I've taught A-level PE, I've just started teaching IB and GCSE. What I'm trying to do is, yes, I am a PE teacher, but it's with the idea of trying to make things across. So hopefully you can go away with a few of these ideas. I had a group about 2 years ago now, 3 17, 18-year-old girls. I was teaching them about leadership. I teach the psychology of sport component in particular. I was mentioning Vince Lombardi, Sir Alex Ferguson, Maggie Alfonsi, David Beckham, and David Beckham's the only one they knew. They had absolutely no idea about all these fantastic leaders, men and women. They just didn't have a clue whatsoever. So what it brought me on towards was, I need to really personalise this for this group. And I thought about, how can I help them in another way? So I started to think about leaders that they might know of. For example, Woody from Toy Story. In leadership, just for an example, you have 2 types of leaders, an emergent or a prescribed. Woody was well involved within that group. He emerged from there. From all the toys, Woody was the clear leader. Harry Potter, you can relate this to any ways, but the idea behind it is just focusing it on to what they're actually, where they are at this moment in their lives, what they've grown up with. So examples that they can relate to more simply, shall we say. Cool Runnings at the top, films, social media, adverts, stuff that kids see all the time. Cool Runnings, I use this for information processing, or similar to Gemma, mental rehearsal. So they sit them down in the floor and they imitate exactly what they've seen in Cool Runnings. So them just constantly going from side to side, side to side. So it's just about trying to make them more relevant for them as students, because personalisation for today, a lot of people, just quite rightly so, would have apps, we'd have internet, we'd have social media. When we go into an exam, unfortunately, we don't have that. I'm not saying that it's all about exam-based in what we do today, that's not the case at all. But it's about making things that are relevant for them. So when they go into an IB or an A-level exam paper and they're asking for an example, a practical example, or something that they can relate to more in your subjects, it doesn't always have to be the ones that we might have known when we were kids, for example, or people that we might know. So it's personalising it for them today. So there are a couple of examples that I've got there. What I've then done is I've started to think about actual homeworks, where we can go with this. Now, every pupil, every student I teach knows about Nando's. Nando's is one of the best places that they can eat. So one idea that we've found along the way is against the periometer. Everybody know about Nando's, yeah? We've all seen it before. Massive chicken store, and the kids absolutely love this. They love this homework. So we've completely personalised this. It gives them complete empowerment. One, the homework is they can choose where they're going to do the homework, from which section they're going to go from that. They can also choose the difficulty of it. However, as it says at the top, at least once during the half term, they must do an extra hot. The idea from Nando's is the extra hot, obviously the more difficult that it is for you to be able to eat that. The exact same idea goes across for the homework which they're going to do. So it is, again, constant words that I do try and focus on within my lessons is giving pupil empowerment. They're getting a choice from their homework, what they can do, and also personalisation. Every pupil in my class knows Nando's. They know Subway. Yes, it is restaurants, it's food chains. We can take it from teams. Just loads of different ideas the way we can take that across. What we can also do with this, something that we've just started doing in our department, is our revision games. So we get games on our phones and all sorts of things. We've got, as you can see on the photo, we've got a dartboard, we've got a pool table, Guess Who, Boggle. It's pupils creating and being empowered to create their own revision games or end of topic tests. So for example, on our pool table, the balls are numbered, 1 to whatever. If they pop that ball, they then have a topic that is numbered next to that. If it's a darts board, I could hit 20. We go to question 20 from the test. It could be Guess Who. For you to have a go at guessing who it is, you have to answer the question in detail. All the questions in my classes, the pupils make themselves. All the topics, all the end of unit tests, they make themselves, and they relate that to this. More pupil empowerment, and hopefully more fun within the lesson. That's one idea, so about empowerment and personalisation. My second idea, the second thing I want to talk about is teacher takeaway. My headmaster and deputy head constantly say about how much great practice there is at Jess. How many great ideas there are going around the departments or across the school. Unfortunately, how difficult is it for us to see it? It's so hard because of time commitments, for us personally, extracurricular demands. We don't really get to see them as a school. So one thing that we've done, that we've just brought in, we started it in the department and now we've just taken it into the whole school, is a game that I've called Teacher Takeaway. And it is as simple as this. All right? Every secondary member of staff's name is on a random name generator. I've created a bucket, shall we say? I put in a load of random things, completely random. And what this does is just forces innovation. In our whole school meeting, I've got about 30 seconds where I press a name off the random name generator, as I've said. Whoever that name is, they pull out. They've got 2 weeks to use whatever the tool is. So we've got mini table tennis, we've got small alphabetical letters, we've got Play-Doh, all sorts of random things. And now that member of staff has got 2 weeks to use it in one lesson or as many lessons in that they want. When we go into our briefing the following week, they've got 1 minute, similar to this, they've got 1 minute to talk about what they've done. It forces innovation, it forces extra practice, good practice being shared, and it brings the whole school teaching and learning that little bit more together. Thank you very much.
Okay. I love this strategy. It's a question strategy. It requires absolutely no prior preparation, and that's why I like it so much. I've just joined a new school and I've been doing a lot of cutting out and turned into a bit of an NQT again. So this works for me. And it's called ABC. It's really simple. I will ask a question. So I might say, Neil, what do you think was the most important reason why Henry made the break with the Roman Catholic Church? And you would say...
I'm not sure, miss.
He would probably say something like, well, it was the money, because the Roman Catholic Church was very rich and Henry was after its money. Then, instead of me then passing that question on to somebody else, Neil would say, ABC Chris. Chris would then say, either A, I agree with you, Neil, I do think it's the money, or he would say, well, actually, I'd like to build upon that. Henry was unhappy with the power of the Roman Catholic Church as well, and obviously the money was all tied up in with that. Or you might say, C, actually I'd like to challenge that, Neil. Actually I think he just wanted to get rid of Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn.
Yeah.
Okay, and then...
He didn't like her, yeah.
So I'll put them on the spot here, can't you? And then Chris would say ABC to somebody else. So it's just another way of perhaps students leading the question in your classroom, and not you kind of doing the bouncing of questions along. Have I under 2? Oh, I've still got 25 seconds, fantastic. And yeah, it's worked for me really well over the last couple of weeks. that's it. That brings the kind of flavour of our mini Teach Meet to an end. If you want to speak to any of the presenters a little bit more about their strategies, I think we've got about 5 minutes to do so. Or if you'd like to talk to me, if you think your school might be interested, or you yourself as a practitioner are interested in Teach Meets and getting involved, then just come and give us a shout. Okay, thank you.